So Gen V is absolutely brilliant and I just love it. It's such a good superhero television series, and I think it's really, really clever how this series is going to hand over to The Boys Season 4, and then The Boys Season 4 is they're going to hand back to Gen V in their sophomore year in Season 2. And then that's going to hand back to Season 5. So the way in which they've just integrated this spin-off into the wider Boys franchise is really, really good. Because most spin-offs aren't as interconnected as The Boys is clearly setting itself out to be. I mean, on paper, Gen V sounded like an absolutely brilliant idea in terms of what happens when you get a group of young, horny, superpowered individuals together in a school set in the dark boys universe. Honestly, on paper, this show just was going to be a hit in and of itself. I don't think it fully realizes that high bar and high potential, but that being said, it is still really, really enjoyable. And I just absolutely love it, how it's effectively mocking and parodying the X-Men universe, and I am the biggest X-Men fan, so it was just so brilliant to see what's going to happen. I absolutely loved it how it just continues so many threads that it started in the main Boys show, but also that they've set in the Boys Diabolical show as well, which I absolutely loved. I will share all of my reviews for all of these seasons and shows in the description box below, but anyway, I think it's really, really good how they continue to show that Vought is this really evil, dark, barbaric company, always covering up the crimes and making themselves out to be this squeaky clean business and always PRing themselves as such. And very similarly, Godolphin University has those very hilarious advertisements of showing a really brilliant, perfect campus life and setting themselves up in a very similar way to how Harvard is being viewed as a really prestigious university. Godolphin or God U is where you go if you're really rich and a superpowered individual. But obviously, you then find out that Godolphin University is actually worse than Vought, as underneath in their dark, sinister basement, they are actually testing on the university students. So I just think from an allegory perspective, it's actually pretty Shakespearean, as the world on the top seems really, really shiny, but actually what goes on beneath the surface is really dark, really evil, and then what happens when that dark world comes and rises to the top. I think it's so clever, and I just think the way in which that happened as the series was progressing was just so captivating. As towards the end of the season, you then find out that actually their big sinister evil plan is to create a virus that then is going to be able to destroy any superhero that it plugs into, and then all of the anarchy that then takes place when all of the people in the woods, I thought that was really, really clever by the way, to make this underground bunker area seem a lot more legitimate to everybody that's in there by calling it the woods. But all of the anarchy that then takes place when all of the woods patients are then let loose and let free, and that virus is then in the hands of Vanessa Newman. So what's going to happen now that she has it? We're obviously going to see that taking place in season 4. On that point, I absolutely loved all of the cameo appearances from all of the boys' characters. So for example, Deep, Soldier Boy, A-Train, even Madeline Stillwell when they were looking at 8 years ago what was taking place. But of course, like I just mentioned, Newman and Homelander definitely did contribute the most from a storyline perspective. This really is where the Gen V show was definitely handing over to the boys, so I just can't wait to see everything that's then going to transpire in season 4. And I thought it was really, really clever how throughout this season, you're not really sure who the villain is. You're maybe thinking that actually is it humans, is it Vought once again? But then by the end of it, you discover that actually the real villains are now going to be the Brotherhood of Mutants that have been set up by Kate and Sam, and just all of the craziness that these characters now can do, especially as far as the world is concerned. They are now the heroes and the new Guardians of Godolphin. So honestly, season 2 just has the potential to be so good, especially as the heroes, the core 4, are now being viewed as the villains from a PR human perspective, and these guys are now trapped. I actually think that, that character that was able to phase through the walls a little bit like Kitty Pryde, maybe that person was trapping them in this place that has got no entry. So now let's go through all of the characters one by one. So I thought Marie Moreau was really, really good. She is clearly the main lead character of this series. Even though you do spend a lot of time with each and every single one of these characters, I feel like she definitely is the eyes and ears for the audience. And I love the fact that she's got a manipulating blood power. And we then discover that actually Vanessa Newman does have this same power. So Marie Moreau could be incredibly powerful in the future. I mean, we definitely did see, especially in the final couple of episodes, how much her powers are just supercharging. So she definitely is going to be a character to contend with. Kate was really, really cool. I feel like the fact that she can just manipulate anyone to think and to control their emotions is pretty OP. And maybe in the future, she will be able to do this without even needing to touch people. So I think she could pretty much just be a game changer, truly an Omega mutant, as they call them in the X-Men. And her powers were really similar to Casey from Super Crooks. So I feel like these type of characters that can just make people people think whatever they want them to think are actually truly unstoppable. I think Patrick Schwarzenegger was really, really good as Golden Boy. A very similar thing happened to obviously this character that happened to another one in You Season 3, where a character that you're really introducing and getting really excited to see what this character is going to bring in the future then gets really shockingly killed off. So I think it's such a shame, as Golden Boy seemed to be such a cool character. I mean, I know he does come back via flashbacks, but it's just such a shame, as he could have been so good, especially if they were setting him up to be another Homelander. The way in which they gave him Human Torch powers actually looked really, really good. On that point, I feel like all of the superpowers in this show were realized really, really well, and you just know that all of the special effects and VFX does cost a lot of money, so I feel like it was really good, as they actually did look really, really believable. But even though Patrick Schwarzenegger's Luke character is off the board, we now have his brother Sam, who was the one who was trapped in the woods for the longest time. And so he has gone a little bit mad, understandably, because of this. And he's got Superman's type super strength, and he can be manipulated by a number of different characters. And I feel like Kate definitely has done a number on him. I mean, you can definitely see it from his perspective, as he, of course, wants to get revenge on the people that were just experimenting on him. But now he's being manipulated by Kate to make himself think that actually he's even more superior to humans. So I feel like this character, I feel like his future could be really, really interesting. And of course, he was getting into a relationship with Emma, and I feel like he was so brutal when he basically made Emma feel so small, no pun intended, by saying to her that the only thing she really craves is people's acceptance, and this was the only reason that she was going to Sam, which of course is far from the truth. But you know, I feel like the storytelling in this series was just so sophisticated, as they could have made it really basic from a superhero perspective. But of course, The Boys always goes really deep, no pun intended, with all of their characters, and I feel like as a result, it's just coming across as such a brilliantly written show. Andre was okay. I feel like, you know, all of his powers look really, really cool, as of course he was very similar to Magneto in terms of being able to control magnetism. But I just wish they would have written a little bit more in terms of him and his father, as of course his father was part of the Seven once upon a time. And then of course we have Shetty, who I think did a good job in terms of being this show's version of Madeline Stillwell, and definitely does do a lot of evil things with all of the different characters, especially as she is testing on Sam and all of the other characters to effectively create a virus, which she does actually do. And of course, in The Boys, no character is safe, so many of them, including Shetty, and she has now died like a number of other characters. I think, you know, by the end of it, Gen V was just so good, and I'm just so excited to see what on earth is going to happen next in both The Boys as well as Gen V Season 2. Both of those can't come soon enough. But I feel like as a show, Gen V was really, really good, and so for all of those reasons, I'm going to give it a solid 7.5 out of 10. Now I'd love to hear from you. What did you think of Gen V? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.